So if you work in the creative industry or something that people would consider a fun job, you may be a musician, you may be a writer, a copywriter, maybe you're a graphic designer, maybe you are an actor, maybe you even work in fashion. You may be noticing that something is going on. The number of opportunities that were available to you previously are going down. There is a lot of negative talk out there, AI, automation, a lot of things on the horizon. And in general, you're getting a sense that there is some impending doom on the horizon. Now, here's the thing. I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is this. All your fears, everything that you think is happening, everything that you can feel in your bones, it is actually happening. It is about to get worse. By my best estimations, 99% of creative jobs or fun jobs that we know today, the ones that we know today, will probably not exist in the next 10 years. That's the bad news, fairly bad news, honestly. But here's the good news. The good news is, I believe, and through what I'm going to tell you, I think not only can you survive, actually, you can probably thrive. And that is what this video is going to be about. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. My name is Utkarsh Mohan. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please do like, subscribe and share. It really helps build an audience and that really helps just encourage me. So on to the topic on hand. This video is going to be about three things. Number one, I'm going to illustrate to you what is the reason that 99% of creative fun jobs are going to disappear over the next 10 years. We're going to run through it from a business perspective, from an economic perspective. You're going to hear about all of that. Second thing, I'm going to give you a real life example of how this is going to happen using something that I'm very familiar with, the advertising and branding marketing industry. And number three, we are going to get into 5 survival strategies, or just think of it as things that you should be doing. Okay, now on the first one, why are things going to change? There are 2 reasons for this. They're both underlined by the same thing, that is data and connectivity, but I'll just separate them for the sake of understanding. The first one is, as you know, technological innovation enabling automation or replacement of human labor. Put another way, the labor that humans could do is getting replaced by machines, smarter machines. It started off in the 18th, 19th century with relatively simpler things. You can replace transportation, you can replace some sort of heavy work, but now it's moving on to more intelligent work. This is where the chat GPTs of the world that can write, a lot of the graphic, all of the Sora, all of the visualizations, all of the text to video, this is where all of this comes in. So what previously required a human, it can be done by a machine. That's number one. I think all of us know this. I won't get into this in too much detail. The second thing that is happening is the ability of profit-driven late-stage capitalism to constantly create even more profit using technology because they have better information. Now, what do I mean? I just mean data. If you look at how AI works, it works on large language models underlined by masses of data. Why does data so much data exist today? It exists today because of the internet, because we are all connected, going back to data and connectivity. So what happens is when you have better information, when you have more data, when you are better connected so that you can implement the learnings from said data, capitalism and profit-driven businesses are able to do a much, much better job. I want to be clear. Business, capitalism, I would say the human condition has always been about optimizing and getting better. The difference between business today in 2024 versus the difference in business, say 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, it's not that business has become more evil right now. I mean, business has always been what it is. And I won't say it's evil. I think you have to look at it in both ways. It's like fire. It can be good or bad. But what has happened is now business is much better able to make profit because they have better information. They know how to optimize better. They know how to implement better. I've made a video about this. I called it the money balling effect. It was quite a popular video on my channel. The point is constant optimization with better data. And what happens is when business has better information and better tools, it makes brutal choices to optimize and create profit for itself. And of course, the reality is that in a business, the profits do go to the shareholders and the majority shareholders and a lot of the senior executives. That's just the way it happens. And that's one of the reasons why in the last 20, 30 years, if you've noticed, the world wealth distribution, while the world has been becoming more prosperous, it's been becoming a lot more unequal because a lot more wealth is getting concentrated at the top. And that's because a lot of the profits of big business are going to wealthier shareholders or the people who are on top. So that's just the way it is. So that's what's happening. So this means that business now has better tools, automation tools, better information to optimize, to make better profits, and most likely than not, human creative jobs or human fun jobs that used to be part of this equation for business will go away. Now, I want to illustrate this with the second part of the video. I've lost count of how many commercials, how many advertisements I made during my 15-year career. I can give you a very, very specific example of how this could happen. Now, I'm using rough numbers here because, of course, I'm sure there are confidentiality concerns, etc. But say a big company or a big brand wants to make an advertisement. Think of the traditional advertisement that you would see on TV, or maybe see it in the Super Bowl or whatever. It would traditionally cost them a significant amount of money. And I'll tell you a little bit about the process, right? And you'll see how there are so many jobs for creative people in this process. So the process is of course, you have to shoot the advertisement, but shooting the advertisement is very much a late stage. You have to come up with the idea. That's number one. Then you come up with the script, the copywriting. Then you have to come up with the storyboards. And there's a lot of back and forth with the people who are approving the advertisement. Once all of that is done, then you plan the production. Once you plan the production, approve the production, and plan production, then you shoot the thing. So these are all these stages: conceptualization, storyboarding, scripting, pre-production, production, etc. So all of these things combined could easily cost between, and I'm talking about a big brand in a developed country, could easily cost between $200,000 to $500,000. These are $200,000 and $500,000 of money that are people's salaries, that are money paid to people. There is a director who directs the commercial. There are the actors who act in the commercial. There are set designers who make the set for the commercial, or maybe the production people. There are the creatives who come up with the idea. There are the copywriters who work together with the creatives. There's a whole ecosystem over there. There is an art director, somebody who would be actually making the storyboards for people to approve, to look at. Entire ecosystem. And talk a little less, and I'm forgetting about the people who are actually interfacing with the business. This is an entire production. It's almost like making a movie. So that's why it costs $500,000. Now let's examine where we're going to go in this process in the next few years. Let's think about the different jobs. Set designer, set production, don't need it. I can generate it with AI. Easy. Look at what's going on. Check out this interesting channel called Demon Flying Fox. They're not doing set design, but you see the potential of AI. Creative people, creative director, somebody to make the storyboards. Previously, maybe a graphic designer had to sit and make it, all of the storyboards individually. No, now you have all these AI tools. If you needed 10 graphic designers previously for a big agency that needed to serve multiple clients and make multiple advertisements, maybe you need one, because they can use the tool to you replace human labor of actually drawing. Number of creatives and copywriters, ChatGPT, etc. You still need a creative person, but you don't need as many as you need before, because he can just amplify himself. And this is one of the themes of this AI thing. It's not that it'll replace people. It will allow the best people to amplify themselves, so that the number of jobs and the amount of work a person can do is much more, so the number of jobs is much less. There you have that. Now, going back to the production. You have a director. Clearly, you do need a director, but he doesn't need to shoot it on a set. He doesn't need real actors. Maybe if you're hiring a celebrity, you need a real actor, but otherwise you don't. Think of how all the real CGI, or how CGI has replaced all the real, scenes that used to happen in movies. If you look at the old James Bond movies, when you have, the Lotus Esprit, that, which one is this? The Spy Who Loved Me. I'm thinking really long back. The actual driving scenes were filmed by real drivers. Everything was done physically. If a car had to jump across a bridge, it actually jumped across the bridge, so on and so forth. Today, CGI replaces all of it. This has already been happening. This is not happening only because of AI. So I don't no longer need, I may need a director, but I no longer need a large set and a lot of actors. It's one of the reasons why you had the actors strike in Hollywood, because people could see what was on the horizon. So my estimate is that instead of costing $500,000, you'd probably pull this off for 1/10 of the budget, maybe even less than that. If you are actually just you maybe just need the following: you need a creative person to conceptualize the idea. He can do everything, including storyboard it, because he has all the tools. You need a director, somebody with an understanding of cinematography, to actually produce it. And maybe you have a prompter or someone who knows how to use the AI tools in a very good way. 3 people, probably replacing 35 people, something like this. And it's only going to get worse as the tools get better. This is one microcosm, advertisement creation for companies, which is still a big part of the world today. A lot of money is spent today creating advertisements. And this is what would happen. So just use this for other fields, right? And I forgot to mention one part of the advertisement, the music rights. So we used to pay music rights to artists. Now you can just ask AI to make something in the style of an artist, unless you're using a particular iconic song, which you may not need in most advertisements. Sometimes you do. Just if you want something that sounds like, I don't know, sounds like Royal Blood, making it up. Just ask AI to generate something that sounds similar. Use it. That's how it'll work. Okay, so there's the doom and gloom. Now let's get into what we can do about it, how you can survive, how you as a creative person, somebody who wants a fun career, who doesn't just want to be a cog in the wheel, who doesn't just want to go to an office and do some mundane work, how do you survive? What do you do? I'm going to outline 5 strategies that I think can work for you. And strategy number 1, I think the most important one, is acceptance. When you have seismic changes in the world, hell, you have seismic changes in your personal life, denial is often the first stage, because you just don't want to accept it. The gap between the way the world is and the way you want the world to be is so large that your mind just doesn't want to accept it. So what you have to do, and this has been a process for me as well, because I also have a certain way the world wants to be. Like I wanted to be, and I still want to be, a writer. I've been writing books since I was 13. Now, this is what I've realized. People don't read books anymore. People watch videos. So one of the reasons why you see me doing a lot of more... the reason I want to be a writer is I want to put out ideas, I want to make stories, so on and so forth. So me doing YouTube for me is a massive acceptance of what the real world of writing is. Not to say there aren't writing jobs, but it's a lot more difficult. So that's an example with me. But what I'm saying is, you may have something that you want to do, but you have to accept the way the world is. You just have to. I think what's happening now in the 2020s is one of the seminal moments. You had the Industrial Revolution, you had the Internet Revolution, and you notice these seminal moments are coming faster, and now you have this AI revolution, which will completely change white-collar creative work. So you just have to know that the next 10, 20 years are going to be quite a ride. And nobody knows how exactly it's going to pan out, what jobs will survive, what jobs will stay. But rest assured, if you are stuck thinking that, no, I don't think it's changing, I don't want it to change, the world will change and you will die. I will give 3 examples. Nokia did not accept the smartphones, just did not accept it. What is the other one I was thinking of? Kodak did not accept digital cameras, right? Just got left behind. And to an extent, it's not happened yet, but if you look at the American social media majors, they did not accept Reels till it was too late, like with TikTok going on the Reels, and suddenly TikTok just explodes. And then everybody, Instagram creates Reels, short form video. Facebook creates Reels, whatever it might be. YouTube creates shorts. They all adapted too late, but they had to adapt, which gets very well into my second point. Accept, adapt. You have to adapt. Now, you may think that what I wanted to be a graphic designer and do all of this all day and enjoy myself. But maybe now you can still be a graphic designer, but maybe there are 1/10 the number of jobs. And the way you do it is you do some actual illustrating, but a lot of it is leveraging AI tools so that you can create a lot more output of work. You may not like it perfectly, but maybe that's what you need to do. I want to call out 2 specific examples of adaptation that I see. One is how musicians and guitarists in particular have adapted to the modern world. I've called this out in the video that I called The Downfall of Modern Guitar. I think the title is a little bit more negative than it needs to be, but the point that I made in that video is that modern guitarists, particularly internet guitarists, are not so much about music. They're more about the spectacle, providing a visual spectacle, providing something engaging, and often selling gear on the side to help fund it. Now, I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm just saying that this is what it is. It is not so much about the music anymore. That's an adaptation. That is how people are still getting to play guitar for a living, and I respect it, honestly. But of course, in the video, I made the point it's not about making the best music. So that's one example of adaptation. Another great example of adaptation, I want to call out this channel called Theoretically Media, and this person, this dude, incredible guy. He's basically been covering all the advances in AI, starting with Midjourney and all the different tools, etc. He actually seems to be, and I think he said it himself, that he used to be a musician, and whatever opportunities there may be for being a musician, and then somehow he was also into everything, looking at what's happening with AI, and he's turned his AI YouTube channel into a massive thing. It's really growing fast, and it's an amazing resource. I use it a lot. Which gets me to the third point, being aware. I talked about theoretically AI being a wonderful resource for being aware of what is going on, with AI as an example. But when you're in a moment in history where the world is changing at a rapid rate, you have to be in touch. You cannot be a ostrich with their head inside a hole. You have to actively be understanding what is happening in the world around me. How does this affect me, my livelihood, my life? And what do I need to do about it? It's something you have to be aware of. Now, the good news is we do live in the information age, so all the information is available. The bad news is there's a lot of different agendas. Most agendas are about trying to make money off you, very honestly. So you have to kind of parse through it. You have to read through the lines, but you have to stay aware. You have to stay aware. You have to know what is going on. A good example for musicians is know what is happening on Spotify. Know the fact that back catalog music is being played to a great deal. Most people listening to back catalog music. Listen to the CEO, the interview that the Fender CEO gave to The Economist as an example. Then you will get a few pictures of what's going on. Then you will understand what's happening. Notice that Sony Music paid $9.5 billion for. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? $1.5 billion. 9.5 is a different number. $1.3 billion for Queen's catalog. Why? Think about what they're going to do. They're going to get that money back. They're going to reinvest, create a revenue stream. Maybe they're going to create a Broadway musical. Somebody mentioned in my comments from the Queen catalog, maybe similar to what you have for other things. Maybe there's an opportunity there. I'm giving very, very random examples, but the point is be aware. Be aware, be in touch, particularly for things connected to your interest. Number 4. Invest. Now, what does invest have to do with everything I said? What I started saying here, and what you probably noticed, is that the creative jobs that exist today, the jobs that you would like to do, the fun jobs, they are not going to exist in the way that you know them. And honestly, there is no guarantee that you will find a way to monetize something that you find interesting, or a creative pursuit that you want will give you a living. It can happen, but it has no guarantee, and it's more likely not to happen. So what you need to do then is you need to identify a way of making money and getting money and having a living beyond just the labor that you do. This is about making money work for you. Often people think that investing and this sort of financial thing is for boring people, it's for non-creative people, it's for vanilla people. It's not. I think creative people, artistic people in particular, need to be very, very informed about investing and doing it and making their money work for them, and doing this very diligently, because their pursuits, the artistic pursuit, the creative pursuit, are the low probability of success pursuits. You need to find some way to rely on something to rely on to give you money beyond the labor that you do, especially if your labor is in the artistic realm. And you need money to make money for you so that you can create time for your artistic ventures. I've talked about this in another video. So what I'm saying is, if you are a creative person, artistic person, you better take investment pretty damn seriously. I'm not going to give any investment advice in this video. There's plenty of resources out there. But if I was to say just one thing, just check out the FIRE movement and check out Mr. Money Mustache. I recommend that. Lastly, branding and business. Now, what do I want to say with this? As automation takes over the world, what will be your point of difference versus a machine? Think of it, you're competing against a machine, against a piece of AI. What is your point of difference? Your point of difference is your humanity. No machine is going to become human. Machine can replicate. I mean, even if you have artificial general intelligence, it is still not human. People know it is not human, more or less or not. So if you can find a way to make your humanity work for you, to be a differentiator, and I don't know what exactly it might be. It could be that if you're a YouTube creator, nobody wants to just listen to some people. I mean, of course, AI creators and artificial artists are becoming a thing, but in general, people still prefer to talk to humans. So that's where you can use your humanity. And when you are when you're a person in a group of people where everybody is the same, everybody is a graphic designer, everybody is a guitarist, everybody is a whatever it might be, a copywriter, the business executive will choose the one that they know, the one that has a different branding, the one that has an awareness. So having a branding of yourself, exploiting your humanity, not in a bad way, but making use of it, and differentiating yourself versus machines and unfortunately other people as well, because ultimately, like it or not, going back to the first point, accept the world is the survival of the fittest. It's a Darwinian principle. So the more you can differentiate yourself, that's how you honestly get ahead a little bit. You can do it in a very, very ethical fashion. You don't have to straw on anyone, but you do have to be very, very aware that you need to differentiate yourself and you need to brand yourself so that you have an identity that can be then leveraged into giving you a living. I want to talk also about business together with branding, because what you realize is a lot of creative people have had to turn their creative ventures into a business. Mary Spender made a great video about this one. You can have two ways of looking at it. One is you can lament about art and business doesn't go together, selling out, blah, blah, blah. I agree. I also don't think art and business go together. At the same time, you do need to find some way to make a living. And if you can use a portion of your art or portion of your creative abilities to be monetized, maybe a YouTube channel is one example, but YouTube, again, I won't recommend it. I'll make a separate video on this entire thing. Being a new creator now, I don't recommend it. It's a very low probability of success, too much work for too little return. But there may be other opportunities. We live in a world where somebody will pay $5 for a cup of coffee because it's Starbucks coffee and you have the experience of sitting in a cafe, or maybe you pay $5 for an artisanal coffee, but they won't pay $5 to download their favorite artists. Most people will not pay $5 to download their favorite artist's song or pay their artist for the song. So know that we live in a world where experience can be monetized more than sometimes physical things or actual things, because things have become we are just overloaded with things. So think about how your creative set can leverage on the behavior, what people want to pay money for today, and how you can turn your creative abilities into a business that can provide you a way to not necessarily just be a cog in the machine, but a slightly better way of making money. And of course, going with all the principles that I mentioned earlier, fine. With investing, etc., you can maybe create the time to pursue your real artistic or creative pursuits. All right, so this has been a long video by me, but I hope this was helpful. I'm really making this video because I see a lot of denial, anger, lack of acceptance, lack of knowledge in the internet, in the comment section, many places. A lot of people, I would say 90% of people get it, but I feel that a lot of people just do not want to accept the way the world is going. And that is what I'm a little bit afraid of, because when you don't accept it, then you cannot adapt to it. You need to have an accurate picture before you can do something about a problem, right? So hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like videos like this, and I'll make more content like this. And I'll see you next time.